Well, this one is being described as the worst terror strike on American soil since the 9/11 Twin Tower tragedy. More than 50 people have been killed and many others were found wounded after an American-born ISIS sympathizer opened fire in a gay nightclub in Orlando. Here's a detailed report on yesterday's dastardly terror attack.
Oh my God.
A scene of panic was witnessed outside the Orlando Pulse nightclub as a hostage-like situation unfolded in Florida. Bringing an end to a 3-hour-long standoff, police crashed into the building with an armored vehicle and killed the gunman Omar Mateen.
Oh my God, Daryl.
At 2 a.m. on Sunday night, armed with an assault rifle and pistol, an American-born man who had pledged allegiance to ISIS had opened fire and locked himself inside the gay nightclub.
The individual believed to be responsible for the terror attack at the Orlando Club Pulse early Sunday morning has been identified as Omar Mir Sadiq Martin, age 29, an American citizen born in New York. He died of an exchange of gunfire with police officers.
While many are still coming to terms with the terror strike, family members of the victims continue to search for their loved ones.
Boyfriend has been shot multiple times and is in the emergency room. But I don't know where my son is. No one can tell me where my son is.
And hours after the attack, the dreaded terror outfit's link also emerged. Not only did the Orlando shooter call 911 around the time of the attack to pledge allegiance to ISIS, but the Islamic State also claimed responsibility for the worst terror attack on American soil since 9/11.
Although it's still early in the investigation, we know enough to say that this was an act of terror and an act of hate.
Startling details about the gunman also emerged. US media reports claimed that Orlando shooter was a homophobe and a wife-beater. The brutal mass murder of innocents has exposed the loopholes in the security apparatus in the United States, and the worst US mass shootings in the last 25 years serves as a grim reminder of the global threat posed by ISIS. Bureau Report, India Today.
In fact, we have Voice of America's Samad Desai, who has reported for India Today from just right outside the very popular nightclub that was popular by the name of Pulse. Here's a report.
So we are right now at the scene of the nightclub shooting in Orlando. Just behind me, as you can see, is the police cop cars, and the streets have been closed since the shooting had begun yesterday. I did speak with a few of the local policemen in here, the ones who are blocking the streets over here, and they have said that the streets should be opening and up and running by tomorrow or the day after, the latest, where people can go. As for me, on my right, I have the media section, which people cannot go further than that yellow line, as you can see behind me. And as of now, the killings are 50 dead people and 53 injured people. I also heard from the local communities here, and officials say that tomorrow at 7 a.m. here in Orlando, at one of the centers around the area, that they are going to announce the name of the dead people. So far, the police have only released 8 names of the victims of the mass shooting. Also, as you can know, that this is one of the deadliest attacks, the deadliest killing attacks that happened in America.
Now, even as the United States of America is dealing with possibly the worst attack after the 9/11 terror attack, politics has escalated over the issue, with Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump hitting out at US President Barack Obama. Trump tweeted to claim vindication over his past statements on radical Islamic terrorism, saying that the need of the hour is toughness and vigilance. He directly attacked President Obama in another tweet, urging him to resign if he still does not recognize radical Islamic terrorism. Donald Trump, the Republican presidential candidate, has raised quite a stir by calling for a temporary ban on Muslims entering the United States. Let's go straight now to India Today's Urmi Sahani for more on this. Urmi, so clearly Donald Trump there planning to, capitalize on the unfortunate shooting. At this particular state in the US, is this the time to point out on any religion or stereotype?
It is absolutely right. This is not the time to point fingers. This is the time to show political maturity. Understand that this is a global issue. It is not something that only United States is struggling with. Europe is struggling with it. We in India are struggling with it. And to recognize that and not target a community, but people of a certain sect who have different beliefs are spread across the globe. And the problem needs to be, the mindset needs to be targeted rather than the people. This kind of statements about banning Muslims, not only they are unrealistic, they also create a lot of insecurity within the community, leading to more of these attacks. So that is something that we all as a global have to have a vision of sorts on a global platform, and need all the political parties within the United States will have to come together to fight this at a deeper level.
And apart from, radicalization, Urmi, what's also important is in the wake of the Orlando gun shooting, there will be now, calls for stricter laws on, giving out gun licenses in the United States.
You mentioned something very interesting that even President Obama mentioned in his statement today. Since the beginning of his term, he has been advocating a change in gun control. The Constitution of the United States allows the people to right to bear arms, and that is something that has to be relooked. There has to be stringent laws about who can carry guns at what level and what kind of investigations and background checks need to go in for something like that. He has failed, but hasn't stopped the fight even till date. Even in his statement today, he mentioned all the attacks that have happened where individuals have gone and created massacres, innocents have died, and he has given the question to the public in many sense that, is this the kind of country we want to be in?
Right.
So when Trump points fingers, he makes it into a political game. Everyone is aware that radical Islam exists. The roots are deep, not just within the United States, but it is a global problem. And having a myopic look at it will not resolve this situation in any way. And that's where it is sort of an issue where the political parties will have to come together and look at it, because this is an important political year for United States.
Yes.
We will see a new precedent in this year itself. The responsibility will be passed on to a different shoulder, and how maturely they handle a deep-rooted problem as radical Islam and the terrorism is something that we have to see.
Okay, one can expect President Barack Obama there once again reiterating the urgent need for stricter gun laws in the US in the wake of this recent tragedy. Urmi, thanks so much for joining us. Now, more than 50 people have already been killed in that terror attack that took place on a very famous Orlando club on Saturday night, and details are emerging about the disturbed mental state of the shooter himself. Revelations that have been made by people closest to the shooter, identified as Omar Mateen. More about this man who masterminded and executed the bloodshed in this report.
This is the face of Orlando terror attack, Omar Mateen, the man who killed over 50 people and executed possibly the biggest attack in the US after 9/11. This 29-year-old American of Afghan descent got married in 2009. But his ex-wife reveals that Mateen was emotionally and mentally disturbed and extremely violent.
Instability, emotional instability, sickness, he was mentally unstable and mentally ill. That's the only explanation that I could give, and he was obviously disturbed. My family literally rescued me. The night that they were there, they had to pull me out of his arms.
The imam of the local mosque that Mateen attended for around 10 years also paints a picture of a man who was quiet and hardly ever interacted with others.
And I felt so bad for all the innocent poor people who were killed. and then it was a double, triple fold tragedy for us that something happened and it has a link and a relationship to us. So I was much more in shock and in tragedy than anybody else.
Mateen's father also revealed that he was a homophobe and had recently been extremely offended to see two gay men expressing affection on a Miami street. Reports also suggest that he had been on the radar of security agencies in the United States and swore allegiance to ISIS.
It's crazy to see that something like that can come from such a small town. You never know.
While America is not new to terror attacks, this incident has certainly proved that radical Islam is only strengthening its foothold in the US. Bureau Report, India Today.
Meanwhile, the LGBT community, who were the main targets, have also expressed shock about the attack. In fact, several members of the community gathered soon after that mass shooting for a solidarity march.
Being here with people that are open and loving and want justice, it showed me how great our world could be if we just resolved to treat everyone with respect and love and empathy.
It's the work of every one of us, whether we work for the U.S. government or the private sector or we don't work, to advance the agenda and message of love and tolerance every day in every possible way.
This is not commonplace. This shouldn't be normal. Our lives matter. Whether you're black, trans, queer, whatever, you deserve to be on this planet because God put you here. And if you don't believe in God, you exist and you matter no matter what.
In fact, a heavily armed man who claimed to be heading towards a gay pride parade in Los Angeles was also arrested early on Sunday, shortly after the mass shooting was reported from Orlando. The arrest was done after a tip-off from a resident. According to law enforcement officials, several weapons were found inside the suspect's car. Ammunition and explosive powder was also found inside the vehicle. Scores of law enforcement officers were seen rushing to the Los Angeles gay pride parade. The LA Pride, however, parade went on uninterrupted. 50 lives dead in a matter of minutes. A night of celebration, a night of dance and music that took a very tragic turn in which hundreds of families, in fact, lost their loved ones. This was the day when a nightclub turned into a floor of death and sorrow.
Bloodshed and tears. One man has ruined the lives of hundreds of people in Florida. What's left now to speak of the tragedy are people mourning the loss of their loved ones.
He's a good kid. He works at Universal, and I'm just hoping we find him. That's all I want.
I don't know anything. They're not telling us anything. I just know she called me and she told me she was shot in her arm and she was screaming and hollering, and I don't know anything else.
50 lives lost, 53 injured. Countless families and friends left scarred. One such heartbreaking story is of Mina Justice, a mother who woke up in the dead of night to a message from her 30-year-old son Eddie. Eddie messaged his mum a simple "I love you." Justice immediately asked him what was wrong. The next reply would leave her world shattered. Eddie told her simply, "I'm going to die," and explained that he was stuck in a bathroom and told her at one point, "He's in the bathroom, he's coming." Eddie was among the 50 people killed.
He's hostage from the shooter.
How did you find out?
He was texting me and called me.
What did he tell you exactly?
That the shooter has them in the women's bathroom hostage and he's gonna die.
Candlelight vigils were held across the United States to express solidarity with the victims' kin in the Orlando shooting.
The dead people who died today have more rights than the people to have guns and kill them. They have a right to live and not be killed. Right now, we could be killed if somebody just wanted to kill us, and that's not correct.
We are distressed and upset and heartbroken for all of the victims of this horrible crime. And we want to let you know that we are working, and we hope that you will be working with us to try to get better common sense gun laws passed so that there's an assault weapons ban.
A night of dance and music turned into a bloodbath. Another date serving a grim reminder of the inhumanity that innocents have paid for. Bureau Report, India Today.